Yeah, baby. We are back here on WLTH 1370 AM. My Country with Scott Cannon. This is Issues and Answers Friday. It is 7:38, so you got about 10 minutes. You want to call in? You got something to say? You got about 10 minutes. 219-885-1371. We just paid tribute to one of the greatest songwriters of all time in Burt Bacharach. A song performed by Isaac Hayes, another great songwriter in his own right. A lot of people don't even know about the songs that Isaac Hayes wrote. I'm a Soul Man for Sam and Dave and all kinds of stuff like that. Seriously, a brilliant man in his own right. We talked about illegal immigration before that, and what could be coming down the pike for us when we're letting millions of people flood into our country. And for those who are just tuning in right now, who is this young man with no mask on? Hello, it's me, Scott. Yeah. They finally let me out of mask prison here at WLTH. Because I wouldn't get the vaccine, but hey, it's all good because the COVID emergency is over. That was the first thing we covered on the show. The COVID emergency is over. Yes, so that is good news. But what may not be some good news is something that a lot of things get buried in the press, right? You see Trump is out acting a doggone fool again, and he had his town hall meeting the other day where he called the woman from CNN nasty, and he dogged out the woman who won the sexual assault case against him and said she was a slut and deserved it. Donald Trump is off the chain, and his voters don't care because the media and the corporate establishment are just as bad or worse, just more hypocritical about it. And so even in comparison to them, somebody like Donald Trump, who is by every standard a vile human being, his crimes don't look so bad in comparison to theirs. And that's always the danger. This is what people on the left, a lot of us on the left, always warn people about. Usually when there is something going on that is distracting the public, there's something in the background going on that's not really being covered. And that's been the case throughout this pandemic and through all these other things. We saw Jeffrey Epstein's, at least some of Jeffrey Epstein's list come out, or should I say some of the people he met with who were like the heads of the CIA and who were heads of state, and nobody even sneezed because people are too busy talking about Donald Trump. One thing that definitely went under the radar that I thought definitely should have been talked about was this new report that has been issued by international legal experts with the backing of the United Nations. Now, the reason that this is garnering a little bit of outrage is not that much in the mainstream, but in some pockets it's causing outrage because it appears that this actually opens the floodgates to normalizing sex with children. Right. Yeah, so this report essentially says sexual conduct involving persons below the domestically prescribed minimum age of consent to sex may be consensual, in fact, if not in law. The Geneva-based International Commission of Jurists wrote in March with an assist from UNAIDS and the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. The report is titled The 8th March Principles for a Human Rights-Based Approach to Criminal Law, Prescribing Conduct Associated with Sex, Reproduction, Drug Use, HIV, Homelessness, and Poverty. Now, it is published front and center on the group's website. It does not actively call for decriminalizing sex between adults and minors. Let's be clear about that. But it states that children have the capacity and the legal right to make sexual decisions, which is a little bit bizarre on some level, because one of the reasons that we have statutory rape laws is the idea that children cannot consent to sex, and neither can animals. That's why we have bestiality laws. Children and animals cannot consent to sex. They are below the age of consent. But this says that children have both the capacity and the legal right to make sexual decisions. And it does not give a suggested age of sexual consent, which opens up a whole nother can of worms. Because, I mean, a lot of people would say, okay, maybe, like, look, throughout the history of the world, let's be real here, teenagers have gotten married for most of human history. 14, 15, 16, once you are of childbearing age, a lot of women and sometimes boys have gotten married. Girls and boys have gotten married, should I say. This was released on March 8th in recognition of International Women's Day. So once again, this is modern liberalism for you, tying it to feminism, tying it to empowering women and girls. That, you know, this is how we're going to empower women and girls. We're going to say that it's okay for, like, Jeffrey Epstein to have sex with you, apparently. The International Commission of Jurists added in its report, in this context, the enforcement of criminal law should reflect the rights and capacity of persons under 18 years of age to make decisions about engaging in consensual sexual conduct and their rights to be heard in matters concerning them. It said further, pursuant to their evolving capacities and progressive autonomy, persons under 18 years old should participate in decisions affecting them, with due regarding their age, maturity, and best interests, with specific attention to non-discrimination guarantees. So once again, we're going back to the transgender stuff, where I don't think a 16-year-old should be able to get boob implants or a nose job or a butt job or any of that stuff. Plastic surgery, unless you are deformed and you have like a cleft palate or something, I don't think that if I have a 15-year-old daughter, she should just be able to walk into a plastic surgeon's office and say, I hate my body, change it, please. I don't think she should be able to say, I want to cut my boobs off and try to fashion a penis out of my colon either. I don't think that should be a thing either. There's a reason children have parents to make those types of decisions for them. That's the whole point. But it seems like everybody seems to be in a rush to force these kids to grow up and tackle so many of these huge life decisions that could end up causing immense amounts of pain and harm for them in the future. And we see, I mean, look, I'm from the city of Gary. You know, I heard Eve talking about it on the last show, how, you know, there were girls in middle school when she was going to school that were pregnant. Me too. When I was going to Emerson, there were a few pregnant girls. Yeah, some of those girls had a high school boyfriend, but some of those girls, looking back, were victims of a crime. We were in the 8th and 9th grade, and they had boyfriends who were in college. Those girls are victims of a crime. they were definitely not in control of their bodily autonomy fully. They may have thought that they were. Kids always do. Kids always think they know everything. We all did. We all do when we're kids. We all think that we're capable of making all these huge life decisions. But that's why God gave us parents. We're celebrating Mother's Day here. As I stated at the top of the show, I think mother's the most important job in the world. That's why God gave us mothers. And fathers too. Because young people, particularly people under the age of 25, their brains are not fully developed yet. They are not capable of making rational, completely grounded decisions in reality. They are not. Let me take this caller. Hello, caller.
Scott, you just brought back some more memories.
Oh.
Now, look, when I was a little child growing up down in Mississippi, Mama was telling us that they got married at the age of 10, 11, and 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, but they were marrying no men that was coming out of that wall. That's what their parents made them do. So when you speak about these girls pregnant at the age of 12 or whatever, Mama told us this when I was a little child. But, you know, they had to get a husband because out there where we come from, you know,
yeah.
Put it like this. Wasn't nobody educated, and so they were getting the men out the army, and that's just the way it was. Matter of fact, talk to someone, you know, just talk to someone like great-grandparents and see what they'll tell you about down south.
Yeah.
So have you ever heard of those sayings before?
Which one?
That girls had to get married. In other words, if they wait for to be 12 years old, they was old. They was getting married at the age of 10, 11 years old.
Whoa. No, I didn't. I haven't heard that exactly, but I haven't asked about
Yeah, but you got to ask somebody that was down there now, older person. You just can't go ask nobody no 40 and 50 years old. You got to go back like grandmama and act like they explained to us. So that's a fact, and I'm quite sure it's people in Garrett.
Oh, yeah, probably.
They know about it.
Yeah.
Well, I just had to bring that up.
All right, thank you for your call, brother.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, that's been the case for a large swath of human history. For human history. But in the 20th century, especially in the second half of the 20th century, we were supposed to have evolved past that type of thinking where, you know, we start marrying girls off at 13, 14, 15 years old and expecting women to be pregnant with 5, 6, 7, 8 kids by the time they're in their mid-20s. We were supposed to have made progress in that. And it's unfortunate in much of the world, you still have little girls who are not allowed to go to school or who are discouraged from going to school and sort of pushed into these marriages and pushed into relationships with much older men. All right, folks, man, this few hours flew by. Time flies when you're not wearing a mask. All right, folks, please stay with us. I'm going to wrap things up when I get back.